listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello! Welcome back to Animal Party on Pet Life Radio with me, Deb Wolfe. And today I'm here with Angela Kerslake. And she's from Vancouver like me. We're both calling from Vancouver, BC, Canada. But we're not talking about Vancouver today. We're going to be talking about Guatemala, which sounds exotic, makes me think of beaches maybe, and lounging around on vacation. But that's not what Angela does when she goes on vacation. So welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
What's this all about, first of all, so people know? Guatemala and animals and you. What's the connection here?
All right. About 3 years ago, I went to Guatemala for my first visit to that country, and it was for the purpose of volunteering at a dog and cat shelter, which is operated by Animal Aware Guatemala. So it was a volunteer vacation that I went over on, and I was there for 3 weeks and fell in love with the country, fell in love with the people, but more importantly, saw what huge need they have for help, both volunteers, physical volunteers, and also financial help at this shelter that they operate over there. They operate on a shoestring budget, and currently in their shelter they have, I think it's about 330 dogs and about 100 cats in the shelter. It's just amazing what
330 dogs. I mean,
that's
100
a lot of
cats
dogs.
you could see in a barn and a couple of barns, but 330 dogs. That's the noise even, the poop,
yes.
the poop. What about the poop, right? That's what, 660 to 1,000 poops a day? That's what that is, right? Holy.
Well, thankfully the shelter is located on several acres on the side of a mountain. So, it's great for the dogs because although they're all kept in enclosures housing about 8 to 10 dogs, they all are taken for long walks, on average 3 times a day, by the few workers that are at the shelter and the various volunteers that go to help. So that helps with that problem.
Okay, so you're in Guatemala, you're doing this, you think it's a good thing, but you don't just come back and then the next year go to Hawaii. What happened to you then? What happened?
Well, after being there the first time, as I say, I saw, it's impossible not to see just how desperately they do need assistance. So I decided that I would go back, and as it turns out, for each of the last 3 years, I've gone back twice a year to volunteer for various periods, anywhere from a week to 3 weeks at a time. And I love going over there. I love doing what I can to help them. And in addition to physically assisting them at the shelter when I go over there, what my husband and I have been doing as well over the course of the past 3 years is we've been doing whatever fundraising we can so that we can send monies over to them. And of course, I shouldn't forget that I've also adopted one kitten that I brought over on one occasion.
Your house is full, isn't it?
You have no idea. And on another occasion, I brought back 3 dogs, which now form part of our huge animal household. And,
okay, what is that? How many have you got total?
I don't know if I want to say.
Okay, don't say. No. Don't say. No. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have.
No, it's okay. I have a number. Let's just say I have a number of cats and 3 dogs.
Okay. All right.
And all rescues, of course. Yeah.
Well, okay, I have a whole bunch of questions for you. One of them is, I just want to say, people can look at the video. We're going to post it and see. One of the remarkable things that I noticed in the video is how well all the dogs get along, even at feeding time, even when food is pulled out.
Yeah.
What is going on with that? That is amazing.
I know. I noticed that as well. I never saw any fights and any aggression between the groups in their enclosures. Now, I'm sure that there are, some dogs in some enclosures that don't like others, but they do a really good job, I think, at the shelter of determining which dogs work well together. So no, that's
they
not
understand
a problem.
dogs. You can see. And you can see when the trainer moves, he's just feeding them. He's barely talking to them, but you can see their eyes are on him. They all like him. They all like him so much. They all want his attention so badly. They're leaping for joy. Okay, so tell us what it's like. You know, you get there, you've never been there. Are you like in a hotel? Are you in a tent? Like if someone's thinking, oh, I'd like to go to Guatemala and help animals, what would they experience?
What to expect? Okay, well, if you haven't been to Guatemala before, Guatemala, it's not a rich country. And so when you arrive at the airport and you travel to the shelter, well, first of all, it's about an hour from the Guatemala airport by vehicle. And when you arrive at the shelter, you have a choice. You can stay at the volunteer accommodation that they have at the shelter, which is very basic. They charge you $5 a day, which of course is extremely inexpensive, but it is very basic. Or if you want to, there's a very nice, clean, safe hotel, which is about a 10-minute walk from the shelter. And last time I was there, that was $25 a night, which I thought was also pretty reasonable. So you have choices in terms of where you stay. You don't stay in a tent. You stay either in a hotel or at the shelter. And you need to be aware that the shelter is, as I say, located on the side of a mountain, and I think it's 7,000 feet above sea level. So it can take you a couple of days to adjust to that. And
you mean you're tired or you're out of breath, or what kind of adjustment are you talking about?
I think because you're at such a high altitude, if you're not used to it, you can get a little bit short of breath. So it just takes a couple of days, as I say, to adjust to that. But it's beautiful being up there on the side of the mountain because, of course, I mean, the air, of course, is so fresh and it's beautiful scenery. But very, very basic, as I say, and you do have to be prepared to do a lot of walking, and it's on hilly terrain, which, of course, is in part why the dogs do so well there. If you go to their website, you'll read stories about dogs who have come to the shelter, you know, in very sorry state, and after being at the shelter and on the grounds for a number of weeks, they become very strong again because they've got all of that terrain to run around on. So
likewise, it looks like they're having a good time. It really does. It looks like they're playing and romping and wrestling and their muscles are working and they're running up and down these sandy hills, rocky hills. It looks pretty cool. We're talking about Aware Guatemala, and we're talking with Angela Kerslake, and we're just going to go for a commercial right now. We're going to come back, and I'm going to ask her a couple more questions. I'm going to ask her a little bit more about the experience of volunteering, but I'm also going to ask her about some fundraising and how that's going and why, when I first met her, why was she wearing a wig? I really need to know that before we keep talking, because I keep trying to wonder what you actually look like. And how come if it was fancy dress, nobody told me? I could have dressed in my, I don't know, Star Trek, Xena. I love costumes, but no, nobody told me. Anyway, we'll be back on Pet Life Radio with Animal Party in a moment.
Don't go anywhere, because the best is yet to come. Stick around.
Dog Shelter Blues, the new novel by Mark Conkling. This hard-hitting story lights up the world of animal rescue with engaging characters and their pets, struggling with their own internal demons as they attempt to rescue innocent creatures that sometimes bring a mysterious transforming power to broken lives. Read the first chapter of Dog Shelter Blues free at dogshelterblues.com. Then come along a breathtaking journey that ends with an astonishing triumph of good over evil. Order your copy of Dog Shelter Blues today. Available at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
You're inside the VIP room
with the hottest party in town.
Back to the party.
Let's go!
Hello! We're back on Animal Party with Pet Life Radio and me, Deb Wolfe. And, well, you know me from Camp Good Dog. But this time we're not talking about dogs and cats that are pampered and spoiled and come to camp and spend more, $30 or so for a day. Today, Angela, you wouldn't believe it, I saw on TV just before we were preparing for the show today, doggles. sunglasses for dogs. And apparently there's this whole line of, what's that stuff called? Tommy Bahama? Is that right? Am I getting that right? I think so.
Goodness.
Yeah, Tommy Bahama hats and accessories for dogs. And I'm thinking, and there's these dogs in Guatemala, perfectly good dogs. They look just like the dogs you see around here. Some of them are even purebred. There's little labs and Jack Russells and crosses and puppies and all so well behaved and deserving. And, for not much money at all, people could be supporting them. So I know you do fundraisers, and I went to one. That's how I met you.
Right.
Why were you wearing that wig, Angela?
Well, this past fundraiser that we had, we thought we'd make it a Hollywood night type of scene. So that's why I was supposed to look a little bit like Marilyn Monroe. I know I didn't, but that was the reason for the yellow Marilyn Monroe type wig. And
it
was a lot of fun.
You did look like that. You did look Hollywood.
Sure.
And I thought your husband was going for like Thurston Howell or something like that. I couldn't figure out what he was up to. What was he up to? Was it Hugh Hefner? I mean, it was a bathrobe, wasn't it? I don't know what was going on there. What was going on there?
A smoking jacket, I think.
Smoking jacket.
Yes.
Is that what they call it? I don't know. It was busy. I didn't really get a good look. But that was a really nice night. And I'm sure you raised money for the animals in Guatemala, for Aware Guatemala. If people want to check it out, there's a website. And we'll have the video up. We'll have the links up right here with Pet Life Radio, so you can go there easily. But so, Angela, you're sort of telling us, okay, you're in Guatemala, how you stay. So do you have to walk up if you're staying at the hotel, are you walking up the mountain every day and walking down every day? And
you are, and it's about a 10-minute walk.
That's not bad.
But it's not that bad. I'll tell you, I certainly got in good shape each time I go over there because of the exercise and the fresh air. For me, in addition to going over and helping the animals, for me, it's a bit of a health retreat because, as I say, exercise, fresh air. If you love animals, of course, what better thing to do than immerse yourself in helping these wonderful animals. And you can eat very well. If you want to, you just walk to the town of Sampango, which is about a 20-minute walk, and you buy your fresh groceries there. And so, it's a great experience, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's, a big animal lover.
What are the people like? I guess you're meeting really kind people if you're meeting the people in animal rescue, and you're kind of not meeting them superficially either.
Right,
so what's that part of it like? Have you made connections with people?
Yeah. I've made some really good friends in Guatemala because, of course, the people who are associated with and involved in the shelter obviously are huge animal lovers. And so I do communicate on a regular basis with a number of those individuals in Guatemala, and of course look forward to seeing them every time I return. The people in general I find to be very, very pleasant, very nice. My Spanish is sadly lacking, and so that unfortunately has precluded me from getting to know a lot of the locals because of the language barrier. But if you don't speak any Spanish, that certainly is not a reason for not going there because, as I say, many, or I would say most of the volunteers at the shelter do speak English. Yeah, no, they're all
well,
wonderful
it'd be sure a
people.
good way to learn. It'd be a great way to learn if you're working on it. Okay, so do people ask you, because when I told people I was going to this event, because I had to get a babysitter and I had to get, a pet sitter and all this sort of stuff, I told people I was going to this event and they all said the same thing, or many people did. Why Guatemala? Aren't there animals in Vancouver that you could go to a benefit for?
Yeah,
and I said, animals are animals wherever they are, and this is happening. But I also thought, I didn't say this, but I kind of thought that maybe your dollar goes farther. Especially when you said the hotel's $25. And I'm thinking, well, a night of kenneling here would be that. I bet you $25 buys you way more for the animals there.
Oh, it absolutely does. First of all, my response would be, as was yours, and that is, it doesn't matter to me whether the animal is in Guatemala, in China, or in Canada. If an animal is in need, an animal is in need. And if I can help, I'm going to help. The concern with the animals in Guatemala, from my perspective anyways, is because Guatemala is a poor country and because the people, for the most part, have a challenging time to provide for themselves and their families. Unfortunately, there is no excess monies available to many people in Guatemala to assist animal shelters, such as Animal Aware Guatemala. So if it were not for funding or donations from outside of Guatemala, I truly do not believe that the shelter would be able to exist. You can imagine how much food they go through on a weekly basis with 330 dogs and 100 cats. And even though everything is much less costly over there, it still, does cost a fair bit to feed all of those animals. So if I donate, for example, $100 to the Animal Aware shelter, that goes so far. You can't imagine, how much good that will do. If you actually go to their website, they explain that if you donate, I think on their website they talk about if you donate $10, just how far that will take their work. And for us, $10 here, if we go to Starbucks or Tim Hortons for that matter for lunch, there's $10 gone, right? And over there, I think it's enough money to cover all the vaccinations for an animal, plus. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. What's the website while we're talking about it? Is it a .com?
It's www.animalaware.org. O-R-G.
Okay, and we'll have links up with that, but just in case people are listening in their car or while they're running or something, animalaware.org. So go there if you want to see this. And okay, so $10 goes a long way, $100 goes a long way. Volunteering and going on a trip. You get a trip, you get a totally new experience. Does anybody ever do this with kids?
I can't say that I have seen children there. I don't know that it would be ideal for young children because there are 330 dogs and I don't think it would be ideal for young children. Certainly, teenagers, obviously, excellent experience. And very fulfilling for them. Yeah, I mean, as I say, because
there is a new market out there of people looking for things to do that give back, but are experiences when they're on traveling. And I've had calls. I've done shows with people who do programs like where they take advantage of the tourists coming at the right time of year when the turtle eggs are hatching and the turtles need to be hand carried to the beach and released and guarded all night and things like this. And the kids love that. So there are programs. There's programs in Africa with peppers and different things where the children are involved and it's good. But this one sounds like a little bit older is better. 16 and up, maybe.
So. Yeah, I think so.
But it could be great for the right teenager. that high school kid who wants to become a veterinarian. This would be an eye-opener,
It would, because at the shelter they do have a clinic where one of the vets from the town of Sampango comes to the shelter once a month and he does the spay and the neuters there and other surgeries. So it's quite an eye-opener if you want to, to be exposed to that side of things, absolutely. And they do so much with, as I say, what little they have. And veterinarians and veterinarian assistants, they are always desperately looking and encouraging those individuals to come over to volunteer because there's always animals that need medical attention, as you can well aware.
So if somebody listening has experience as a vet tech or a vet assistant or has a first aid class behind their belt, pet first aid, or even someone who's in the human field but medical, this would help a lot, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And dog trainers.
Oh, is that a big hint there? Is that a hint, Angela?
Well, it is. Because they are, of course, always looking to adopt the animals out of the shelter, obviously. And the dogs that are coming into the shelter, many of them haven't been well socialized because they're literally rescued from the street. And so dog training is really important because that then allows them to send the animal, whether it be to Canada, to the United States, to be adopted out. But the animal, of course, needs to be fairly well socialized in order, for that to work, of course.
Ooh, now that's interesting. Okay, so we're going to go to our last commercial break and come back, and I'm going to ask Angela about that. Because if you're listening and you're thinking, I'm ready for a new dog, maybe I could adopt one from Guatemala Rescue. Guatemala, that could work. So stay tuned and you'll find out how on Animal Party with Pet Life Radio.
Don't leave this party before it's over because the best is yet to come. Only losers leave the party early anyway. Party on. Back in a few.
Are you crazy about cats? If so, check out The World is Your Litter Box, Deluxe Edition. This clever how-to manual for cats, written by a cat named Quasi, contains more laughs than should be allowable in one book, and is poignantly underscored by the combative yet loving relationship between Quasi and his human. The World is Your Litter Box, Deluxe Edition, is guaranteed to have you laughing your tail off. So, treat yourself to a copy today. Available from Amazon.
Every pet is unique. Maybe they're gray in the muzzle, yet young at heart. Maybe they're growing out of the puppy stage and into their paws and ears. Or maybe they're just trying to maintain a more girlish figure. At PetSmart, we have the right food for your pet at a great value for you. PetSmart. Be better together.
Go to PetSmartDeal.com and save up to 30% on awesome gifts for the pets and pet people in your life. Toys, collars, leashes, PetSmart gift cards, treats, and more. Go to PetSmartDeal.com today. PetSmartDeal.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Werber from Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff here on Pet Life Radio. We want to hear from you. Listen in. We're on every Thursday, 1 o'clock Pacific Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Time here on PetLifeRadio.com. We are one of the only live shows on Pet Life Radio, and I'm here to answer your questions. So you can call in at 877-385-8882, or you can drop me an email to drjeff@PetLifeRadio.com, and hopefully we'll see you here on Thursdays.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
You're inside the VIP room.
With the hottest party in town.
Back to the party.
Let's go!
Hello! We're back on Animal Party with Pet Life Radio, and I'm interviewing Angela Kerslake, sort of. We're talking about Animal Aware in Guatemala, and she just dropped a big hint that maybe I should be taking my vacation in Guatemala and training up some dogs over there so they can get adopted out. And that's true. I mean, a well-behaved dog gets adopted. That is so true. And if you have a way with dogs, if you've always had well-behaved dogs, maybe you're between dogs right now, this would be a great way to get your dog fixed and do some good overseas, or, well, depends where you live, at least somewhere else, somewhere where things are tough, where animals maybe don't come as high up on the agenda of public spending, where they really, really need your help. So, and you get an exotic, amazing experience, but you feel good about it. Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks, Angela? How do they do this when they go?
I've gone for as little as 1 week, and on other occasions I've gone for 3 weeks. My husband, actually, he's gone over for as long as 8 weeks. So it depends on what your schedule enables you to take for a holiday.
Okay, before we get to how you can get a pet through this program, I want to ask you, okay, because people may think, oh, Angela must be a vet receptionist and her husband must be, you know, a horse guy. Okay, so this isn't the case, right? You didn't come to this through your work with animals, did you?
No, I'm not in my
your day job?
Regular job. My daytime job is not, unfortunately, working with animals. In hindsight, I kind of wish it was, of course. But no, I'm a lawyer during the week, so to speak. But I've always had huge passion for animals, and hence the size of our animal household with all the cats and dogs that we have. But yeah, no, I'm not in the animal profession, but as I say,
you know what? I just imagined you as a superhero, lawyer by day, animal rescuer by night. You know, with a costume change, right? Where you get out of a suit and you change into like khakis and hiking boots. What would your okay? So if we did this for your husband, what's his regular and what's his alter ego?
He works for the government, so again, he is not a
veterinarian, not a vet tech.
No. But on one of my visits to Guatemala, I did convince my vet and his wife to come with me. So going back to, opportunities for people to go over and volunteer, I should say that what I've wanted to do for the longest time is to start getting together small groups of people who are interested in volunteering at the shelter but are a little bit nervous about going over there for the first time and not knowing anybody over there and not being quite sure as to what to expect and so on. So before I forget, I wanted to say that if anybody is interested in going over to volunteer at the Animal Aware Shelter, if they want to contact me and if I can get a small group together, I think it would be a lot of fun for everyone who went. And as I say, the shelter, of course, would benefit immense. And it, I hope, might provide an opportunity for someone who otherwise would be hesitant to go.
When I told my daughter I was going to this benefit, she's 8 years old and she doesn't know where Guatemala is. And she immediately started calling it the guacamole dinner. Yes, the guacamole event, the guacamole shelter. And she actually, when I talked to her about it later, she actually thought that there was going to be some kind of, she likes these food channel shows. She thought I was going to a party where there was going to be guacamole recipes and guacamole testing and, just basically a guacamole party. So I don't know, is that in the future? Are you ever going to have like a foodie testing party as one of your fundraisers? Because I'd like to tell her that she gave you the idea of the guacamole for Guatemala or something like that.
I think that is an excellent idea. I think we will. We're always looking for ways to raise funds for the shelter because, again, I can't emphasize too much how desperately they do need the assistance. And so I think that would be so much fun.
Yeah, you might get a completely different crowd. I saw that the silent auction, actually it was a real auction, the wine bottles, those were
always a huge hit.
That was amazing.
It really is.
They were paying they should pay for one bottle for a box. I mean, it was, I'm not a wine drinker, so I was just watching the people and watching how they were competing. And one woman was trying to distract some man so he wouldn't keep bidding, and somebody else is getting in on the side. And I'm just thinking, wow, this is competitive, this auction. Look at that.
Yeah.
Same for that, the painting or a print of the Brat Pack.
Oh,
that
yes. That was a big hit.
Yes, I'm sure that went well. So I was having a good time. The food was incredible. So maybe the guacamole idea isn't so bad. I don't know. So if people are listening and they do want to find out how to get an animal, like how to rescue one of these dogs that gets retrained and rehomed and sent, how does that work?
Best thing for them to do is to go to the website, the animalaware.org website, because on the website they've got pictures and descriptions of all of the dogs and cats that are available for adoption. It's not that difficult at all to adopt a cat or dog from Guatemala. A lot of people think that, incorrectly that the animal has to be detained for 6 months.
People think quarantine.
Yeah. And that is not the case. As long as the animal has had their rabies shots in Guatemala, and as long as there is a vet's certificate confirming that the animal is in good health, it's just a matter of getting them shipped over here. And as I say, I've brought 3 dogs and 1 kitten that I've personally adopted. On another occasion, I had 4 puppies shipped over here, all of whom I adopted out. It was never my intention to keep them, of course, but I found really good homes for them, and that was, 4 more puppies that were basically saved, right, from the streets. So it's really easy. So anyone interested should go online. All the
and they're already spayed, they're neutered, they're vaccinated, they're trained, they're healthy. So it's not like you're getting some unknown quantity. They don't pick the sick ones and the weaklings and the bad ones to send. They pick the best ones. But I'm wondering, okay, so when you fly back, how many animals are with you normally?
Because the paperwork, of course, usually takes a couple of weeks to be done, I've never been able to fly back with the animals at the same time. They've had to follow me, unfortunately. Yeah. But the airlines, so far, they've been really good and never any problem or concern with, the care of the animal or the health of the animal. They've all arrived safe and sound and don't seem to be overly stressed out by the whole ordeal either. Yeah.
It depends on the animal. I had this dog, Mike. I had him for years. He lived to be about 17. He was a wolf cross, and he wasn't mine to begin with, but he ended up deciding he was going to live with me years and years ago. And one time, the very first time he ever went on a plane, I went from Vancouver to Toronto, which is a very long flight, and no stops, but it was still a long flight, and got out in Toronto, and he didn't come out of the plane. It was taking so long, and I went to the guy unloading things like, water skis and whatever, and I said, "Is there a dog there?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, the black dog?" And I said, "Yeah," thinking, "Oh, no, what's he done?" Because he was a really smart dog, and I thought, "Oh, God." He said, "Oh, no, he's sleeping. We didn't want to wake him." So then they unload him, and sure enough, he gets out, he yawns. We get out of the airport. He goes to the first tree, pees on it. He's like, "Okay, I'm here." Completely, not phased for 1 second,
Wow.
Just totally took it in stride. But there are other dogs, and sometimes puppies transported when they're really young, especially in their fear period, which is about 3-4 months of age, when they're learning what to be afraid of and what not to be afraid of. It can be overwhelming for them, and they can leave. I had this one golden retriever that used to stay with me a lot, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 11 months. He was all great. Then they went to Australia for a job. He got sent into quarantine for a while, and by the time he came out, the job had fallen through and they had to relocate back. Eventually, I met him again 6 months or so later. Not the same dog. Not even close to the same dog. Nervous. Sounds, bad stomach now. All kinds of problems. So sometimes a flight is not your best. If your dog's already nervous or anxious, if your cat already freaks out at things, it's better to find some other solution than flying them around. But there are some dogs and cats who are just bomb-proof. They just don't. They go with the flow, and it's easy for them to handle. And as long as you plan carefully so there's no stops and no hot weather destinations, like you would never fly somewhere. I mean, they won't let you, but even if they did, you would never choose to fly somewhere like Arizona in the summer with a pet, because it's just too hard on their systems with the heat. But as long as you're sensible and you plan properly and you get all your paperwork in order in advance, which is what you guys are doing with this rescue, they do it for you. You don't want to travel with a dog like Howie Mandel and end up with your ancient Chihuahua in Hawaii and they won't let you in because you didn't get the vaccine record properly done. Or end up like Justin Bieber with his monkey and, thank God for that. Thank God they took the monkey away. Anyway, we won't talk about Justin Bieber and his monkey. It gets me upset. But so let's, I think we're almost out of time for the show, Angela. Is there, maybe you want to just add a few things about the experience or why people should check it out?
Yeah, I would really encourage everybody to go and have a look at the website because there's a ton of information there about the history of the shelter, how it got started, and all different ways as to how someone can help. You don't have to, of course, necessarily physically go to Guatemala and volunteer at the shelter. There are so many other ways of assisting, obviously donations being one of them, of monies, but there's also a wish list on the website of items that they can always make good use of. And I always remember flea medication is a big one. They can never get enough of that, and it's very costly for them over there.
So, with the climate, it must be a constant battle. And I bet there are people who, they don't have their pet anymore, maybe divorced, maybe the pet died, maybe they got bottles of this stuff under the cabinet and they don't know what to do with it. You can't dump it down the sink. You can't throw it in the garbage. It's toxic.
No.
But these guys can use it, right?
Exactly.
So that's a good thing. What else is on that list that you think people might have?
Let's see here. I've got their list. Oh, metal food bowls.
Yeah, because the other one's germs. You can't use plastic in a shelter or a kennel, or you're just spreading things. So it has to be metal. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so they are always in need of those. Because, again, you can imagine with 330 dogs, they go through a lot of food bowls. But metal food bowls, flea treatment, toys for the cats and the dogs. I mean, we can't forget about the cats, of course, because there's about 100 cats in various enclosures. And of course, it's always preferable to have lots of toys to keep them entertained, and so that's a big one.
Okay, so now that you're talking about toys, bowls, and vet meds, I'm thinking we do have sponsors. We've had on the show before sellers of toys, Planet Dog and Nico-chan cat toys, and we've had on the show before pet med companies. So I'm hoping they're going to hear me talking about them and hope to do a follow-up show with me and give you some kind of donation, because
that would be wonderful.
This is the way to go. They just have to reach you. Tax receipt, right? They'll get a tax receipt?
Unfortunately, the shelter, they are a registered nonprofit society in the United States, but not in Canada.
That's okay. So. That's okay. The companies I'm talking about are in the United States. So
perfect.
So that'll work out well. So, if you've got extras laying around your warehouse, if there's something, if you just want to do some good, get your name out there and get a show with me, then go for it. Contact them.
That would be wonderful.
Guatemala.org. Okay, and Angela, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great talking about this.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I hope you'll keep inviting me to these parties. I mean,
I absolutely will.
It was some fun.
And we'll have another dress-up event, so you get to wear a wig next time.
Okay. Oh, tell me ahead of time, though, because I like dress up. I will totally go in costume. I absolutely will. Okay.
Will do.
Thanks very much, Angela. Bye-bye. We've been talking to Angela Kerslake, and we've been talking about animals in Guatemala who need your help and how to reach them at awareguatemala.org. I just want to tell you that there's a new website that I'm really liking. WARE is the acronym. It's wildlife and something. Anyway, WARE. Go on there, and it tracks. It's like a big map of the area I live in, which is cool. And if you see something like a mountain lion or a coyote or a wolf or a bear, you report when you saw it, how you saw it, where you saw it, and they put it on the map. And I'm just fascinated by this. I can't get over it. The other day I was going over this enormous bridge, a huge bridge, a new bridge here, lots of traffic and everything. And it wasn't even that late at night. And I was going over maybe 10 o'clock at night on the weekend, Golden Ears Bridge. And right at the base of the bridge, just before I got off the mainland onto the bridge, there was a coyote just running around in with traffic, just crossing. Amazing to see. So brave and so adept at that. And today I saw in the morning news, a lady came home from driving her kids to school, and there were 2 black bears, males, brawling over the right to a female and having a to-the-death battle in her driveway. So lots is going on around here with the wildlife right now, spring and summer, and the berries will be out soon, and I'm going to pay attention to that website. I am, and I'll report back to you all on Animal Party on Pet Life Radio. Until next time, be good to your animals.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.